So we're at the courtyard at the Francis Anderson Center here with Chris Herman today, and today's St. Patrick's Day, and what we're going to do is talk about another way to go green with some solar panels. Chris, would you give us some background on the Cooperative?
Yeah, there was a law passed at the state level called the Community Solar Law, ESSB 6658, 2 years ago, which gives double incentives for community solar projects. And as a founding board member of Sustainable Edmonds, a bunch of us got talking about doing a community solar project in Edmonds. And so we interviewed 3 developers and chose one, and on December 8th we incorporated the Edmonds Community Solar Cooperative.
And so what are we doing here at Francis Anderson Center?
Well, the idea is that we're going to put 75 kilowatts on these 3 roofs here on the southwest classroom wing, and 2 more roofs just to the south of the tall section of the center, and put up 7,500 square feet of solar panels that people in the community can become members of the cooperative and gain benefits.
And so, you know, in light of what's going on, you know, a couple of weeks ago this was probably a really good idea, and then in light of what's been going on with nuclear power in Japan and all of the concerns around the world, this probably just got more important, significantly more important.
Yeah, I feel really bad for the people in Japan. I've been a disaster reservist for 21 years. I've been on 31 disasters working for FEMA, and so I know what disaster sites look like. And you know, one of the reasons I got into solar 27 years ago was because I have always known that nuclear power is a bad idea. It just has too much potential, and if anybody could design a plant properly, build it properly, operate it properly, and maintain it properly, it's the Japanese. And there's still the potential for catastrophe, and we are also in a seismic hazard zone. So solar is a great alternative to nuclear power.
Taking a look at it, can you think of any downsides to this solar project?
I really can't think of any. The downsides to solar in general for homeowners are that they might not have a good roof facing the wrong direction, they've got trees, they live in an apartment or a condominium, or they just don't have $10,000 or $20,000 of their own money to put up for a complete solar system. So this law was passed to offset those obstacles. And the other beautiful thing about a community solar project is that we are eligible for federal incentives, which is a 30% grant, 30% of the cost of the system, plus double state production incentives. So we'll be getting $1.08 a kilowatt hour for everything this system produces for the next 9.5 years. So people that wouldn't have been able to do solar in the past can now do it, and even get bigger incentives than they would if they put it on their house.
So it's difficult, it's not impossible, difficult to do individually, and you're just making it more easy to do as a cooperative.
Oh yeah, the solar industry in Washington State grew 50% last year. So there's a lot of people doing it on their homes, but the federal incentives for commercial projects are so big, and letting more people take advantage of the benefits of solar, because there are a lot of people that would love to do it, but they just don't have the money or they don't have a good roof, and this is going to be a much smaller buy-in.
Okay, and the electricity that's generated from this solar grid, is that just going to go back into the grid, the PUD grid, or is it going to be used locally here? How does that work?
Yeah, the Francis Anderson Center will be using the electricity. They use about 22,000 kilowatt hours per day, and this system will produce about 75,000 kilowatt hours per year. All of the power goes into the Francis Anderson Center, and the city buys it from the co-op at a reduced rate. So they're going to get about a 30% discount on the electricity that the system produces for the next 9.5 years.
And the Francis Anderson Center is a historical site, so this is a way to bring in some new technology, a historic site, and make them work all together.
Yeah, the Parks Department actually has identified that as one of the major goals of historic preservation, is to bring in new technology, energy efficiency, conservation measures to keep these buildings viable well into the future. So
let's talk a little bit about the politics. What is the next event that's going to happen at the City Council?
Tuesday, March 22nd at 7 o'clock at the Public Safety Building, which is 250 5th Avenue, Edmonds, 98020, is the City Council meeting, and this is our 3rd time presenting before the Council. And we've got a roof lease and a power purchase agreement that we've been working on for a couple of months with the city attorney, and we believe that it's at the point now where the roof lease and power purchase, all the questions have been answered, or they will be answered that night, and there's going to be a vote of whether it's a go or a no-go. So getting more people to show up would certainly help that.
What are some of the objections? What are some of the obstacles?
One of the obstacles is the roof warranty. Since this is the first project in the city and it's the first project in a lot of different places, they're concerned that the panels, how they attach to the roof. And the idea is that there won't be any attachments. They will sit in ballast trays. Another one is the negotiating just about the price for the power. We think we've been very generous as far as selling all the electricity for 5 cents a kilowatt hour instead of 8 cents that they would pay, with a 3% escalation.
So looking at the Francis Anderson Center roof as a place to put all these solar panels, the engineering's clear on that, the roof can support it, and we're not going to puncture the roof and we're not going to have leaks and things like that?
That's a good question. So that was another obstacle. When we first met back in May, the city staff identified the Francis Anderson Center roof because it's a new roof. Basically, it's 2 years old. It's got a new electrical system in the building, so there's no problem tying into that. And it's a community center, and the idea of this project is also to do public education and give benefits to the community. And so ballast trays are the preferred option. We don't know exactly how all of this is going to work because since we're a co-op, we've taken in a little bit of money, but all of that money is in an escrow account. We're not spending a dime until we actually have a project. So I've been up on that roof, those 5 roofs right there. I've probably spent a good 10 or 12 hours up on those roofs doing site assessments to make sure that we know where the panels could go, the best option for mounting them. But we're not going to do any engineering until we have an agreement with the city because that costs money. And we don't know exactly how they're going to be installed until we deal with the building department because they're going to have some input on that. So we're doing everything we can up front without having to spend money and go too far into things because, you know, we're all volunteers. We'll have a structural engineer do an analysis on the building. We will have insurance on the building so that if the panels, you know, cause damage to the building or to passerby on the street or something, then the co-op will have insurance for any of those eventualities. So yeah, we're excited about moving forward with the project and giving more people an opportunity to buy in because we haven't done any promotion until we actually have a project. The money we've raised so far has been word of mouth, but we would love to be able to start promoting and start building.